Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in welcoming to the Council of the Americas our panel of experts this morning.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Eric, thank you to the Council and especially to you, Eric, for the invitation, and I'm really honored in sharing the panel with Ottaviano, who we were colleagues at the board in the World Bank a few years ago, and with Gustavo, who was governor at FONPLATA also a few years ago. And I understand audience is bilingual. I was planning to speak Spanish. I hope my English is not so rusty, so I will go on in English. And first, Eric was mentioning about FONPLATA. I guess most of you probably don't know what FONPLATA is or haven't heard very much about FONPLATA. FONPLATA is an institution which was created, is contemporary with CAF and the CAPE, the Bank of Central America, in the early 70s, but obviously didn't have such a relevant presence in the region until recently, when member countries, which are Argentina, Brazil, Bolivia, Paraguay, and Uruguay, decided to go and give a revamp to the institution. That was basically after the crisis in 2008, 2009, and for our countries, it was a need to have another multilateral institution participating, which would be supporting the development agendas of our countries. And basically, which was a challenge when this relaunching took place. One of them was not to be doing the same as the other multilateral institutions were doing in the region, because the first question from everybody is, why do we need to have another institution participating in the same activities? And obviously, FONPLATA is not doesn't have the same size as sister institutions, but we try to focus in what was one most important issues for our member countries. And our member countries are medium income countries, and especially, there have been big improvements in the per capita income. There have been big improvements in reduction of poverty in the last years. There's been more socioeconomic inclusion, with better standards of living, and improvement in having a more middle class, but still being middle income countries, although emerging countries. That doesn't mean that poverty or different challenges for development are not present. And this middle income view is in some ways, even in the case of Uruguay. Lately, there's been some discussions. There's a lesser participation, or there's lesser resources from the development institutions which are allocated to our countries. So our focus in FONPLATA was mainly in smaller and medium-sized projects, basically up to $50 million, which were going to be in our area of action. Basically was the less developed regions in our countries, where you can find most of the poverty and most of a population which hasn't got yet the benefits that came with all these bonanza years that we had during the good prices of the commodities. So we basically concentrate our effort in inland regions of the countries and the border regions of the countries, and all those populations which with more necessities. Which are why small and medium-sized projects? Because these are the kind of projects which have a higher transactional cost for bigger development systems. Projects of 20, 30, even $50 million in our countries are expensive for any of the other banks. And we have a presence in the area. For us, our transactional costs are really less than low, so that allows us to participate very actively in this type of projects. And so, since this revamping FONPLATA, which was a fund. We've been going in the way of transforming ourselves to have all the tools to work as a development bank. So there were two capital increases in this period, which brought the FONPLATA's capital from $500 million to $3 billion at the moment. And also we managed in these years to lend in these 5 years more in volume and in number of projects than in the 35 years before from FONPLATA. And last year we also managed to get credit risk qualification, just to be able also to get financing in the markets, and we were assigned an A minus and A2 by Moody's and by Standard & Poor's. We think that was really a very important achievement, considering that we only have 5 countries which are members of FONPLATA. All 5 countries somehow are linked among them, and they're not the only country with investment grade is Uruguay. So it was a big recognition, I mean, to all the policies, to all the reforms we made within FONPLATA, the level of qualifications we managed to get. Until now, we've been increasing the lending every year, and our plans are to keep on increasing them. And also, we're trying to get a record as an institution, but mainly these first years we've been working with lending from other financing institutions. We still haven't gone to the market until we get this track record, and we're planning to go to the market probably from 2019 onwards. And last, I don't want to take too long, in a strategy, also because of the focus we have, it's a priority to have alliances, to work in alliance and partnerships with the bigger banks. And that has been really one of the priorities during these years, and we managed to have to set agreements with several of them. The last one has been with the Inter-American Development Bank. Recently we signed a finance loan of $100 million for border integration, I mean, to integration in the borders of our countries, small projects which affect small populations all along the borders of the FONPLATA countries. With CAF, we had already had we've been participating in co-financing, specifically in Paraguay, for $150 million in roads, rural roads, and different activities in the rural areas. And we are setting other agreements with the European Investment Bank, with the French agency, and something which I think is really interesting is also with the new development bank. As you know, the new development bank, the NDB, is the bank from the BRICS. They don't have offices in Latin America yet, but we are working in an agreement with them. We are leading a couple of projects. We're going to do all the process, and the NDB will be participating in the co-financing of these projects. That is happening in Brazil, because Brazil is one of the members of the NDB. But the plan is to be able to go ahead and do some work also in all the other member countries of FONPLATA.